When we think about betrayal, one of the ways to think of it that will probably feel relatively congruent at the moment is to think of betrayal like a tsunami, that it's unexpected. We know that tsunamis happen, we know that they're out in the world, but if it's happening to you, then there's a sense of like, what the hell, what's going on? How do we deal with this? And what we are focusing on is phase one, which is keeping your head above water. How do you breathe through this process? How do you survive? Just so you know about the process, phase two is learning to ride the wave, to deal with the emotions that will come up, that will be going through them, learning how to process them. That becomes different in phase two. In phase three, we learn how to map the journey, the what, how, why. And in phase four, we look about how do we create a new place of safety. So it's the rebuilding, relocating, setting yourself up in a space that is safe. The experience that people often have is a sense of being blindsided, a sense of overwhelm. It feels like chaos. And there's so many different ways that people react. Some people feeling numb, some people feel enraged. There's just so many changes. And one of the really profound effects that's going to be happening is going to be focused around your body. And there's a number of quite specific things that are pretty universal. And so if you're sitting there, I'm just going to invite you to scan through this and see which of these feel true for you. So one of the primary responses you're going to have is that your chest will feel really tight, which makes it hard to breathe. You may feel lightheaded. If you stand up, suddenly it feels like you're going to fall over. The very common experience is a response to hyperventilation. The other thing that you may be noticing is the startle reflex. Someone moves or you suddenly just have this jerk. You might find you're falling asleep, and just as you're on that tipping point of falling asleep, that your whole body jerks alert and you get this flood of adrenaline. Very common that if you can get to sleep, you're waking up often with a nightmare or just in rigidity with high adrenaline. You're probably going to find that your throat feels very tight. It's hard to eat. You don't have appetite. And then associated result is often disrupted digestion, constipation, diarrhea, both ends of that. It's very common to lose about 10% of your body weight in the first couple of weeks. Often people have hair loss, muscle loss. For those of you who work out regularly, you go to the gym and you're 20 to 30% weaker. Emotions all over the place, lots of changes. Some of you may stay in that numb state for quite a long period of time. The next 5 minutes will cover some of the things that will make a massive difference to help you survive through this experience. In phase one, the goal is survival. The tsunamis happen, you're in the water, shit's gone crazy, you're trying to do that. Your primary job is to breathe. Okay. And I don't mean literally mean that physically. Your job is to help yourself breathe in a way that's going to keep your head above water. The key message that I want you to hear that's probably going to sound really weird is that you are okay. The attachment is a significant betrayal. It has a massive impact on multiple systems in the body. If you are a person who bonds and connects with other people and you're in a committed relationship and infidelity or betrayal comes up and you have a big response to it, it's just a sign that your attachment system is working fine, that your body's working fine. And so even though it feels shitty, you are actually okay. The experience you're going through is normal. And so even though it feels really intense, when you're struggling in a tsunami, it's not a great experience, but you are actually okay. The struggle is normal. It is okay. So when we look at the body impact, what we're really going to do is just break down each of the particular stresses you're having and look at the strategies that you can use. You may want to just print out or take a snapshot of this particular resource and just tape it up somewhere to remind yourself for the next week. So the first impact that you're going to experience is the tight chest, making it hard to breathe, the lightheadedness. What's basically happening is your body is responding to the emotional stress like the physical threat of a blow and is tightening everything up to help you absorb the impact. Okay. Now, the problem is it's a completely understandable response, but it's designed to be a short-term response. And it's normal that phase one's going to last for 2 weeks and you can't hold your breath for 2 weeks. Okay. And so what you're going to need to do multiple times throughout the day is to tell your nervous system to relax and to start breathing. Our nervous system has 2 branches. We have the fight flight part and we have the rest and repair. So fight flight is the sympathetic nervous system. You don't need to remember that. The rest and repair is the nervous system, kind of like the paramedic. And because we exist in a world which is both safe and dangerous at times, we need to be prepped to move into fight flight at any point in time because we don't know where the tigers are. And so what happens is when we breathe, our body preps the sympathetic nervous system, the fight flight system. And when we breathe out, it relaxes and moves into the parasympathetic nervous system. And so what happens is when we experience a threat, we automatically start holding our breath as an initial response to more strongly activate the fight flight system. Okay. And so if we want to help deactivate, to de-stress the body, to sort of realize that the danger that you're experiencing is not right now, then what you want to do is you want to make your out breath at least equal to, or ideally longer than, your in breath. And so often when people say, oh, you need to breathe more, what they'll do is they'll go, but that's activating the fight flight system. It will push your heart rate up, which is not what we want. So one of the things that can be really useful, which I want you to practice now, is we're going to do what's called square breathing. And if you think about it like a square, you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds, breathe in, and just continue that. So take a moment, just put down anything you've got in your hand. Take a breath in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, breathing out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. And out. And hold. And in. And hold. And out. And hold. The next issue that you're going to be dealing with is a startle reflex. So it may just be someone moves suddenly or something happens and the microwave beeps and you're having this big response. That doing square breathing is helpful with that. But the more specific thing you're likely to find is you're going to tend to struggle around falling asleep and then wake up in the morning. And so the strategy that we want to do in terms of this is I call pandiculate to nestle. Now, pandiculate is your new word for the day, but basically means stretch up like this. And you can do that now, moving into your body and stretch. And if you have animals, you will see them do this. If you're in a good position, stand up on the ground, stretch as high as you can, lean back, stretch wide, and then come down and shake yourself out. And what you'll notice, again, if you have animals, if an animal gets a fright, what they will do is they will do that stretch and then they'll do the shaking to help shake it off. And what it does is it resets the nervous system. And again, you should be doing this about 10 to 20 times a day. So that's pandiculation. So, if you're shifting into a new phase, if you're going into a difficult thing, if you notice that as you've been talking or thinking or walking or doing something, that your body's starting to tighten up, pandiculate, stretch out, and then come back. Specifically in regard to the startle reflex, you can combine pandiculate with nestle. The nestle is essentially moving into the fetal position. You're essentially just curling yourself up, cuddling yourself up. And so the invitation here would just be to stand up, pandiculate, and then if you've got a couch or a sofa, or you can do it on the floor or a bed or something, just cuddle yourself up, allow your eyes to close for a moment. Have that experience of just being close and drawing yourself towards yourself. Take a deep breath out. Notice that experience. Stand up, open your eyes, stretch, and try pandiculating again. And again, just notice what's happened in your body. What you're going to notice with all of these experiences is that what they will do is tend to give you a very temporary sense of relief, and that's okay. These experiences are all very much in the moment. You're going to have to do them repeated time. This is your only task for phase 1, is to survive, to help you breathe, to help reset your body. When you get dunked by the waves, you go under, you're having to hold your breath. And then you're creating a moment to get above the water, to get a breath, and you know that you're going to tumble again.